here, we're in the moment, which is great.
Yes.
We're here again.
Yes, we are.
We are here again, and we'll always be here.
Yeah, but the only thing is that we're here with a new book this time. Book. I don't know if you heard me because I clapped at the same time, but yeah. The Mastery of Love by
Don Miguel Ruiz.
Ruiz.
Yes. And it's a Toltec text, and so we're covering chapter 1 today. So hopefully you read. If not, you can always read now, or you can read after, or read tomorrow.
This is a short one. So.
Yeah, plenty of time to catch up.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we always do, we're gonna start with our meditation. Give like 2-3 minutes just to get in your zone or your quiet place, or you can stretch, or you can go get something to drink, whatever. But yeah, be back in a sec. Centered and gathered. So we're just gonna get right into the text. So before we do that, we all wanted to talk about kind of like what we thought before we read the text, like kind of just based off the title and our pre-notions or preconceptions of what the text would be about, and if that's different or you know the same. So after reading, so sure.
When I first saw the title, I thought the book was going to be like looking at love through a romantic standpoint and everything. But when I started reading the first chapter, I saw that it deals with like all types of love, and I think the general message is, you know, like loving yourself, and when you love yourself, you can love other people better too. So that's what I'm getting from it too.
I think, yeah, I had the same, whereas though when I first thought, you know, the mastery of love, it made me think of like the book, The Art of Seduction, like where it's like you're just learning kind of how to seduce. This is more like a how to love type of thing, which is like the same, but again, I thought in like a romantic standpoint, like you're just learning how to love somebody, mastery of loving other people. So it definitely was like a twist to see. It was like based a lot on self and your own love and self-love, like they said, but you never know as it goes on. It might get into that, but definitely shocking at first.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I initially thought it was like a how-to type of book, like how to love in a relationship, and then like what the wrong and rights, like the feelings, or like kind of stripping yourself of like the kind of love I feel like society has like taught, sort of thing, like, and get back into like real relationships types of thing like that, and how to love that way. But the same thing, when I first read the first chapter, it's more about self, and I could see how it may still go into after like loving self and figuring out, you know, how that pure love within self is, and then learning the things you love and all that sort of thing, then extending it and out into other people. I can see how the book may take that sort of route too, because it kind of touched on a little bit about that, the influences of others, you know, type of thing, in the first chapter already. So yeah, that's like what I initially thought about the book, and now that I'm taking from it thus far since the first chapter has been read.
And I just wanted to read like the quote like from the beginning, just because if you didn't know, like Toltec means like, you know, in Mexico in ancient times they were just men and women of knowledge, so it's nothing to like vent out of, you know, unable to like, you know, understand who they were as a people. And they have this little short quote. It says, a Toltec is an artist of love, an artist of the spirit, someone who is creating every moment, every second, the most beautiful art, the art of dreaming. Life is nothing but a dream, and if we are artists, then we can create our life with love, and our dream becomes a masterpiece of art. I thought that was a nice intro into what the Toltecs are, and then about the text. So each of us are just going to kind of pick out some of the passages and texts that we stood out to us, and we're just going to expand on. And then you guys can drop questions and comments. We're going to answer some questions at the end. So yeah, just read along, share along, and dive in with us.
Gotcha. Alright, so the one I chose is from page 7. It goes, you have the power to create. Your power is so strong that whatever you believe comes true. You create yourself, whatever you believe you are. You are the way you are because it is what you believe about yourself. Your whole reality, everything you believe is your creation. Alright, and what I got from that is it kind of reminded me of another book that I had read called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And that book is about, you know, how your thoughts control everything that you do. And everything in this world started off from a single thought. And like thoughts manifest. You have to keep thinking positive and things like that. And let me see.
I definitely agree with that. And my thing with like the whole creator notion, or you know, the truth about it is like we never discussed or kind of touched on like the difficulty it is in like being a creator. You know what I mean? Like it is hard to, like how the text said, like about, you know, blank canvas and fear and all that, how we're kind of like taught these things. So it's like, yeah, we do have this liberty to create and to make our life a masterpiece, but it's like we're creating from something that's already not true and something that's already like, you know what I'm saying, distorting. So it's not just a simple creation, it's a figuring out this and reconstructing this and then creating. So it's like you gotta kind of build your easel up before you even paint your picture. So it's definitely like everybody's embracing this whole I'm a creator, I create my own reality, I do all of this, but not acknowledging the hardship, or not necessarily hardship, but the responsibility or the work that it takes to create your own reality, because that means you have to uncreate so much of what you already know to be true.
Like what society has taught you, or your parents, or whoever, since you came into the world, is, you know, and not like a bad intention, distorted your view on the world, but in a sense they take you further away from your true, like who you are, because now it's like a structured thing for everyone. It's no longer about the individual, it's no longer about what you're supposed to be for this world. Now it's like, oh, like the stop sign means stop, everybody knows the stop sign means stop, like, so they give you like a generalized thing when it's really you have to like strip yourself of those generalizations back into like who you would be, like solely if you didn't have those influences on you.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so I kind of piggybacked off of that, and I started my passage. It's on the bottom of page 9. And it starts at the denial system is like a wall of fog in front of our eyes that blinds us from seeing the truth. We wear a social mask because it's too painful to see ourselves or to let others see us as we really are. And the denial system lets us pretend that everyone believes what we want them to believe about us. We put up these barriers for protection to keep other people away, but those barriers also keep us inside, restricting our freedom. Humans cover themselves and protect themselves, and when someone says you are pushing my buttons, it is not exactly true. But it's true that you are touching a wound in his or her mind, and he or she reacts to it because it hurts. And so, like, I think, like, denial or just, like, that concept of fog or denial is, like, big for me because, like, I was just talking about this recently, and I talk about it often, that we have this, like, mask and this shield where it's though, like, if we're used to being this type of person or we're received well as being a type of person. For example, me, like, I'm, you know, happy, funny, energetic type person, and that's received well in most or certain crowds, but it's like, I'm not always that. And I know that if I'm not that in certain situations, it may or may not be received well. And so it's almost as if, like, we get into this trap of, like, having to be one way all the time so that we're able to be received the same way. And that's not true because, I mean, you are who you are. So it's like, I am this happy, funny, go-lucky person, but it may be times where I'm, like, not cracking a joke. I'm reading a book or I'm watching a movie and I'm just very serious in my zone. And it's like, I'm still the same person, but if I'm not projecting myself in that way, it's going to be read differently. It's going to be, oh, you're different, you're acting different, you're being different. When it's like, no, I'm the same person, but one person is not one way all the time. So I had, like, wanted to open it up to you guys and, like, ask you guys, like, how do you feel about the whole mask on thing? And is it like a trap or is it more of like a protecting thing or both or whatever?
I think that even the book, like, talks about this, like, it's a practicing. Like, we are practicing every time we get in certain situations with other people to be that person. So sometimes even initially you don't even go into it saying that you're going to be this type of person or whatever, or you're going to be like happy-go-lucky like today, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like an automatic thing because you've practiced that. Like, you know, you're practicing that routine and making it a routine type of thing. So I don't even know if it's, well, and with that is a mask, because then, like, if you are in a situation, you know, like when you're with your friends and you're not really feeling like happy and sort of type of thing, then that is putting a mask over, because that's not truly how you feel inside. And I feel like I struggle with the same thing a lot too, so I definitely, like, understand it and can see, you know, that training ourselves to keep doing it. It's like when you realize that you don't want to do that anymore, and like you don't feel good anymore because you know that you're denying yourself of your true self at that present moment. You know what I mean? And it's all about the present moment. Like, you can't ever get that moment back. You know what I mean? The only thing that you can get back is to be like, I don't want to do that again. Like, you know, your reflections after that.
Exactly.
But I think it's just something that we have to, again, strip, you know, a routine that has been taught to us over and over again to when we see this certain situation when we're with other people to automatically do that, then that's something that, again, we have to, like, take off.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. Like, my whole standpoint was that, like, it is automatic, like she said. Like, when we go into certain, you know, situations, we do kind of put on masks sometimes. We might not do it intentionally, but subconsciously, like she said, something about, like, programming, or did you say, like, it's learned?
Yeah, it's like rehearsed, like
Rehearsed,
it's like,
like it's programmed, you know, like over time.
It's practice.
We might not do it on purpose, but we do put on masks a lot of the time.
Right. And I don't think even in, like, that sort of thing, like, or, like, it could be a fear mask, like, you know what I mean? Every single time we hear a scary movie, everybody's like, a little bit, like, you know what I mean? Or, like, gets in the situation for a stick up, it's like, scared, like, now we're all scared, instead of maybe feeling like, I'm brave, you know, that type of thing. Like, if you had a free mind ever since you were, like, that age where they started to build up that, like, mask over top of you.
And two, I was thinking about, like, this whole thing, like, with the mask and doing that, people can label that as being, like, fake and phony. And so I was talking about this last night, and I'm just like, you know, people put such a negative connotation on being fake and phony, when really it's one, I don't believe people are fake or phony, because I feel like if you display yourself in a certain way, or you want to come off as a certain way, that says a lot about you. Like, if you're not very sexual or something that nature, but you display yourself as a very sexual person, that shows that you want to be sexual. That's something you want to do. So even though that's not true to your present moment or like you all the time, that's still very much a part of you. So like, I have an issue with like the fake or phony thing, because I feel like it's very necessary to kind of be fake and phony, because I think that's what meditation is. I think that's what self-improvement is, self-reflection is, or doing better, because, not saying that meditation is fake, but it's literally like pretending, because you have to put yourself in a whole different mind frame or place right now that you physically are not, but you're going to put your mind there in order to transcend or be different. And the same as like, you know, making a difference, like you said, the Napoleon Hill book, he talks about, you like, if you want to be a millionaire, you know, think like a millionaire. And it's like in this present day, I don't have anything to show right now that's going to say, hey, I'm going to make $1 million, but I'm going to imagine myself, which is a lie or phony. It's fake because it's not real at the moment. But I'm going to put myself there. I'm going to imagine that. I'm going to act that way, be phony, act that way, so that I can bring those type of energies to me. I can get used to behaving that way, because then now my thoughts are manifesting and these things are coming to me because I'm acting different. And it's like, being different is good. You're supposed to change, or you know, whatever. You should be able to change. You should be able to fluctuate. Like, life fluctuates, life changes. So to think you're going to be one way all the time, I think that's fake, and I think that's phony, and something that we've kind of misconstrued. So like, what do y'all feel like about the whole fake and phony thing? Like, what's fake or what's phony, and is putting out a different projection of what you are, quote unquote, not true or fake or phony?
I don't think it's really fake or phony, because like you were saying, you might like self-analyze yourself maybe, and you might see an area that you might want to improve on. So you acting on it, like you might say, I'm not really like an outgoing person maybe, or something like that. And you start acting more outgoing, so you know, to like make yourself comfortable with it, and you know, like make a change. I don't see that as being like fake or phony.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great
Me either. I think it's like two things too, like your intention behind it, and also this whole everybody stripping that layer of this fog that we've all been tainted with. Like, because once everybody would strip that, then we never know. We may change every single day, because like that just may be the people that like we would be, because we don't have any like something that's telling us to think this way when we see this, or like feel this when you see this happen to you, you know what I mean? So maybe it may be a different perspective every single day. Like, everybody may be changing every single day type of thing. So then it wouldn't even be judged as a fake thing or anything, you know what I mean? Because every day we're trying to learn who we're trying to be. And then it's also like your intention too, because like if you're trying to change or like do this whole like sexual thing or whatever to get somebody else's attention, or like for an ill intention in any sort of way, negative like intention, then yes, you're being fake, you're being phony, because that's not your initial thought. It's that other person's thought. Did you think that they're going to like this person or this version of you, and now you're going to act like that, now you're going to be that for them, you know, type of thing. And it may be denying yourself of self, you know what I mean? It's totally different if like that's who you want to be, and then it agrees with whoever that person, like what that's totally different. But saying like, you know, that intention of doing it for somebody else and not for you, like that's diminishing to self. So I feel like that's being fake or being phony or whatever. But if your intentions are like, you know, like Jerb said, like, you know, I want to change like this to like, you know, be more outgoing, like, you know what I mean? I feel like this is a way to do that, like, and you're just testing the waters. Okay, like regardless of that, if you would do that the other day, or they're like, oh, Carrie would never do that, like that's the girl in high school that just wore glasses and was in her books, like, you know what I mean? Like, don't put that staple on yourself. If you feel that and you want to do it like for self, then fuck whatever everybody else.
Yeah, because that's you. You didn't get that for no reason. Like we were saying before, like sometimes you hear that little voice or have that inclination to maybe go a different route.
Right.
And it's like you won't even go there because it's like, oh, they're gonna think I'm this, or I'm the cool guy, I wouldn't do that. Like
Right.
I can't knit because I'm too cool to knit, but in the back of your head you wanna fucking knit. Like knit, it's okay to knit. You're a knitter. Like I keep using knit. Stick to the status quo.
Yeah.
But yeah, like don't be afraid to come out of the shell you've built. Like you said, it's good for protection. It's good for mixing and mangling. It's good for consistency to get a good idea of who you are. But you can't show all of you all the time. It's like literally impossible to in one moment be everything that you are because you're everything. So it's like you're not going to be all of that all the time, and like to trick yourself
something totally different
exactly.
like the next day, like
because you got a whole bunch of different desires and wants and needs
right.
that you're going to act or not act on, and that's okay.
And not saying that you're going to be flim-flammy in that
right.
either, because like you have like a basic like goal in your head, or you have a basic like idea of like what that light is for you for life, like what
right.
that piece is for you in life. Like, so it's not like you're falling off track because you're this person and then you're just being in the present moment. You're being in the here and now. You're not being the past Jasmine. You're not being the future Jasmine. You're being the Jasmine in the present moment. Like,
right.
and that's like what it's about.
I agree. Very, 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 very interesting. I like that. And so my next part is literally like right underneath the next passage. It goes on to page 10, but it starts at the bottom of 9. And it says, when you are aware that everyone around you has emotional wounds with emotional poison, you can easily understand the relationship of humans and what the Toltecs call the dream of hell. From the Toltec perspective, everything we believe about ourselves and everything we know about our world is a dream. If you look at any religious description of hell, it is the same as human society, the way we dream. Hell is a place of suffering, a place of fear, a place of war and violence, a place of judgment and no justice, a place of punishment that never ends. There are humans versus humans in a jungle of predators, humans full of judgment, full of blame, full of guilt, full of emotional poison, envy, anger, hate, sadness, suffering. We create all these little demons in our mind because we have learned to dream hell in our own life. And so I picked this because it could go for religious and non-religious purposes, but a lot of people who don't identify with a religion is because of this kind of shackle of hell, and it determines so much of what you do on earth because you're thinking, oh, am I going to get into heaven or hell at the end of the day, or if I do this, I'm going to hell. And it's like you're basing your life on such a future ending, or basically the end. You're basing your whole life on how it's going to end, when we all know, or well, we all choose to believe that the present moment is what matters. So I like that this text kind of puts hell present. Like, you can be in hell every day if your mind puts you there, or if you allow your mind to be there, or you take in these influences that influence you in a state of hell. Hell is not just a mythical place of fire, demons, pitchforks, and Satan or whatever, like however you want to classify it. It's a present state of mind. So I think that's different because it'll cause people to look at hell differently, and not just as this, I don't want to say fictional, but as this place that some people believe to exist, or whatever. And it puts it more into now. So it's like, yeah, you worried about where you're going to go when you die, but what about today? Are you angry today? Are you sad today? Are you jealous today? Are you, anxious today? It's like all these different emotions that we participate in day to day and base it on such a future thing, when it's like, no, right now, we could be living in hell, so to speak, in a psychological sense. And that makes a completely different way to live. So like, what do y'all think about heaven and hell? Is it like, for you, is it a place, or is it a state of being, etc.?
I think it's like a state of being, and it's like it's subjective to everybody. Like I was saying, you might see yourself as going through hell right now, and somebody else might look at it and see that as like heaven. Mm-hmm. You might look at and vice versa. So it's all about like a state of mind.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, because it does vary. Like you said, like my heaven could be something completely different than yours. Like yours could be flying around with angels and literally up there with God. My heaven can be like winning $5 tomorrow because I'm so poor. Like that $5 is really going to take me to the highest place imaginable for me.
Right.
And so it's hard to classify the best place and the worst place for everybody because that is so different on so many different levels. Like, so that's another thing. Like,
and again, that's another thing I'm trying to like generalize it and put it into this one general thought that everybody has to view it as.
Right.
And it's like you can view it as two different things. You can view it as both of those things into one. You can view it as, yes, when we do die, our karma or things may put us in another lifetime, like where we're really rich, you know what I mean, because we have good karma or whatever, and the next time we're born into, being poor, being whatever, like, sort of thing. So, and it can also be in that present moment, am I creating a heaven for myself, or am I creating a hell? Am I lying to myself, or am I being just pure light, pure love, like at every moment, or at least trying to strive to be that way? Like, so I feel like you can think about it in so many different ways. It's just that, like, again, that's another thing that they try to generalize it for everybody to be like, oh, like, be good, do this or you're gonna go to that place, like, when you die, type of thing, and then everybody's fearful or scared to die, like, over that.
Yeah, sunken place.
Right.
And I was thinking about it too, like, we all are connected, so it's like, I get the idea or the whole thing of, like, wanting to share, the same thoughts as someone else, wanting to share the same beliefs as someone else, but it's just like, we naturally are going to do that always. So it's like, we have this fear that if we speak out on certain things and we address certain things that we won't be accepted, when it's like 9 times out of 10 if you're thinking something, somebody else has already thought that, is thinking that, will think that in the future. So again, we put those masks on, so it's like we don't really know what everyone's thinking or all the things that people think, but know that your thoughts are not alone. You're alone in the fact that you may be speaking out about them, but it's not just your thoughts. Like, it's just like this yearning for, like you said before, like a yearning for like acceptance. Mm-hmm. And it's like, we're already accepted. We're already together. Like, whether you don't like me, you don't like what I say, you're not going to detach from me as a being. Like, we're already connected. So it's like this whole heaven and hell thing, like, you live your life based on this whole big degree of acceptance of which you're already accepted to. It's like, you're chasing after, like, it's like, literally, like, going around in circles. It's like, you're already here. You're already in it. You're one, you're with everything, and, you know what I'm saying? It's the language and the mask and all of that make us think that we're somehow disconnected, and we have different beliefs and things, but we're still so very connected. We can't unconnect.
Right.
So I think it's interesting, because it's like heaven and hell, that literally is what it is. Like, you living your life chasing an acceptance, but like trying to be yourself, and it's like weird.
Right, because you need to be both to be a part of the one. You do have to be like yourself for us to be what we're supposed to be. Like, we all are one, but we both have two different passions, or we both have two different ways that we're living out this life, because that's her vessel, that's her like specific portal that she's supposed to be going through, and the same for me and everybody else, like, but we all are connected as one at the same time, like, so yes, may look different, feel different, taste, touch, like all of that, but we're all a part of like this one big energy,
right? Exactly.
Force.
Yeah.
Person.
Agreed.
Okay, so my passage is at the top of page 11. It's the first paragraph. When a human is born, the emotional body is completely healthy. Maybe around 3 or 4 years of age, the first wounds in the emotional body start to appear and get infected with emotional poison. But if you observe children who are 2 or 3 years old, if you see how they behave, they are playing all the time. You see them laughing all the time. Their imagination is so powerful, and the way they dream is an adventure of exploration. So I chose this passage because I work with kids, and I've always like been chasing after that like feeling that I felt like the most free, the feeling that I felt like the most like I just was myself. Like I didn't think about anybody else's thoughts so deeply because I felt them all. Like I could feel that like this was my best friend without like us having a talk or like, you know, having each and every day we have a conversation. It may be like every other week I bump into this person, but I know that they're a part of me. Like it wasn't so much the talking, it was more being felt, and like I felt like the most free, like within self, without having to think about it being people like perceiving me a certain way. It was just being like in being, like I knew that everybody was just love, light. Like I didn't have to think about an expectation, because once you start thinking about somebody else like perceiving you in a certain way, that's like when you start to act a little bit like different and stuff like that. But if you don't even think that exists because everybody around you is just love, is light, and even adults, you still think that they are where you are, regardless of if you know that they aren't, you know what I mean? You still like just feel like everybody should be like loving, everybody should be light. Like when the adults act like a different way, you get like kind of confused as a kid, and I can even see it like on my kids' faces, like when I act a certain way and then switch it up, like they're like confused because it's like in their world everybody is the same, like everybody is love, everybody is light. And that passage just like drew me so much because I'm around kids all, like I said, all day, and they really are like that. Like they do not live in anything else but the present. They don't live in the past, they don't live in the future, they live in that moment. Yeah. When they have an argument, it's literally that argument, 2 seconds later, they like have the angry face and then they're back to playing again, because like that's not going to like affect their being. They know that interaction was meant to happen the way that it was supposed to happen. This person thought this way, I felt this way. It was a little bit of a disagreement. Now I know how they feel. Now they know how I feel. We're both good. Like that's it. Like it doesn't have to be, oh, I'm still angry because you know what? Now I still remember the thing that he just said. Oh yeah, now the hurt is coming back. No, yeah, now I'm really hurt. Like it's not that. They make it for what it is, what it was supposed to be in that moment, and then it's gone because that's what it was supposed to be. And then they live in the present again. And I think that that's like such a beautiful thing that like adults and like parents, we like lose so much like when we start to even put that label parent, because then it's like that's the person that's supposed to teach you what to do, how to do this, how to do that. When yes, it is kind of, it's like seeing your kid go down the street. Just watch them go down the street, but you see that there's a huge bump in the road, and if they fall over that, you know that something bad is going to happen. Instead of being like, oh, walk this way. No, run, stop, pace. Like, pace yourself. Okay, no, stop. Just saying there's a bump. Like, if you probably walk like five paces, there's going to be a bump there. And leaving it alone. Like, so parents like try to dictate everything, and that's when they start to strip that kid of the natural love, and then start to put on the fear and start to put on everybody else's judgments and ouch, this hurts, instead of it hurt and that's it, like sort of thing. So that's just what I got from that passage. Like it's just like more when you're like an adult, a parent, like we should be looking at them, like we should be following them, and then using the things that we've learned through life to be like, oh, like that's fire, don't go by that, like sort of things. Those sorts of things that we have learned now that are essential to teach your child, or like let's eat this types of food, and then teaching them about the foods that they should be eating and all that type of thing. That but like the way that they're going to manifest self or manifest anything that they want to manifest, they may have fucking magic, but since we keep saying no, this, that, you're taking that away from them. You know what I mean? You're taking away their vision that they see our future maybe to be. You're taking away all of that beautiful love power. And it's like, it's not meant to be that way. Yes, we are supposed to be the guide, but they're supposed to be the leader. Like,
right.
So do y'all think that's like too optimistic? You know?
What?
Like like telling kids like it's better to be happy all the time.
No, not even being.
I mean, just like instead of like trying to prepare them, because bad things are going to happen.
And the thing is, you are honest about that too, but you don't like strike fear in them. Like, you know what I mean? Like don't go down that because like the dark is, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
don't put your perceptions of the world into their mind. Like, you know what I mean?
Let them experience.
Exactly. Or put them in a dark room, you know what I mean? Like see, and then after they come out the dark rooms, like, and then like guide them through that, like how they felt initially, like, you know what I mean? Because once you tell them how they're supposed to react, like you're the person that the first thing that they open their eyes, they see you, like you're their protector, you're their provider. So of course they're going to be like taking that thought into the next, you know, situation that may come up in that sort of thing. Instead of being like, oh, that's how you initially felt. All right, like now I'll tell you some of my personal experiences. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
I seen something before with like that kind of was parallel with that, where they were saying like when the kid would fall and like bump their knee or something like that, they would look up at the parent for their reaction.
And once the parent is like, and then the kid, exactly. Like if they fall, even if like you hear them fall, you check to see they're good. Like don't even say anything. Like and watch what they do. Like usually they'll get back up. Like you know what I mean. Like my kids at school, like I can tell how their parents has trained them to be, because they'll fall and some of them will be like, and it wasn't even like a huge fall. Like it's like, oh, like you're just doing that because you're taught to do that. Like there's this one boy, every single time he does not get his way, he cries, and I just be like, no, like I'm ignoring, no, like because you're doing that because every single time you cry at home, there's a reward every single time. So you're being taught now to cry at every single moment to get what you want. No, like that's it. No, I'm sorry, we're not doing that here. At least at school, you don't. Like
that's interesting though that you asked that, Drew, because like I've been thinking a lot about parenting lately, and I'm like, I have such a strong will. So I'm very careful in just like regular conversations with regular people that I don't speak on certain things or speak a lot on things, because I know like I have no like gassing, but like the way I speak, and if somebody is not set in their ways, I have the like ability to like towards what I'm saying, because I'm gonna explain my point. It's gonna make sense. It's gonna sound good. So it's like exactly. So you might adapt to my shit, and I'm like, as a parent, how am I going to balance that out? Because I'm just like, I do want them to have their own point of view and their own feelings and thoughts, but I'm just like, I know me as a person, I already know, like, if I'm watching something on TV, if it's funny, I'm cracking the fuck up, so they going to learn this is some funny shit, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that's a funny example, but like, even with something bad, like, I know if I got my 3-year-old and maybe I'm driving in the car and somebody cut me off, I'm like, motherfucker, I'm doing that. Like, I know that's how I am as a person, so I'm thinking, like, how to balance that. And like you said too about like the realness of the world, like it's like, because I feel like too, when you give kids this like, and I don't want to say a bubble, but it's like, as a kid, I think if you never encounter things as negative, or you don't put things as negative, you're always going to think nothing bad can happen. So it's like he or she go through their whole life 18, like bad stuff can happen, but it's still like in their head, well, it's not really that bad, So the minute they break free from me and my thought, you know, my training, they go to college or whatever, and it's like something happens and like, okay, now this is bad, and now I'm feeling all bad, the bad that I never felt. This is the first bad thing, and
that's what I'm saying. Like explaining those things to them, like you know what I mean? Because so many parents would just keep reacting like and never say anything to the kid. You know what I mean? But he's like like, and then after a while, like you know, certain people react to this, like you know, in a certain type. Doesn't mean that you have to. It's all about also communication too. Like that's true. Parents sometimes, I'm not gonna say all parents, because a lot of parents do communicate with their kids too at a level that you know you should be communicating with your kids at, but like they don't use those things, you know what I mean? Or like those examples to communicate with their kid, you know what I mean? Like if you're like, ha 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 ha, and then the kid starts laughing, like, what are you laughing about?
That's funny.
Like, you know what I mean? Because now you're giving them a choice to think about it for themselves. Now it's like, you're teaching them also that there are other people that are going to feel and think a different way, because they need to see you react like, if that's the way that you're going to react to it. But you need to know if that's the way that you would initially react to, or is it because we
learned
learned it. You know
right,
what I mean?
exactly.
And then after that, like being able to have a conversation with them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Did
Right.
you really feel scared?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? When
Exactly.
we just, did you really feel scared?
Right. Or
You know what I mean? Or you're
I
just-
scared.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I'm
And I don't
saying?
feel like those conversations
Exactly.
are had so much than a kid's thinking, oh, I have a choice
to feel.
you know, like however I initially just felt like that's my feeling.
Right.
Like how mommy just initially like that's mommy's feeling.
Right.
Like, you know, that's
It's
how she
different.
reacts.
Right.
And it's different. So
Right.
it's not like don't not react the way you're gonna react because then they never know when you're
You
really
are.
scared.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Because they've
No
never
shit.
seen your real
Yeah,
reaction to
exactly.
like being scared or like
Yeah.
you know, type of thing. So yes, share those things with your kids, but don't be like that should be scared.
Yeah,
like that's how
a
you
tough
show
balance.
scared. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you can show scared in so many different ways. You could be brave scared. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where you can show and then initially after you like feel that now you're brave. You know what I mean?
Right.
But initially you felt a little fear. Like you know
Right.
what I mean? Like
But beyond
showing that like teaching them that first of all like the label of the emotions sometimes are even fake like because it's
Yeah.
something that we've generalized
Yeah.
again you know what I mean
Yeah.
because in an instant that you may feel scared I may not feel scared
Right,
so
so
that's,
that's
not
not
really
fear.
scared
Yeah.
that's not scared
That's
you know what I
your
mean
fear.
so it's about teaching them like that communication that we have to teach them
Right.
you know what I mean but in the right way it's like
Right.
you don't have to label that emotion as that like just because
Right.
we're watching a scary movie like they call it a scary movie like
Right.
you actually may think it's funny like
You like
you may
ghosts.
yeah
You
like
like imaginary
yeah you
friends.
think that that's like you know a drama to you like
Right.
all right now that's for you like teaching just about like self like it's
Right.
not
Right. I definitely
just
think that's like
about
a
me.
hard balance.
you know what I
for-
mean and
for
you're
parents.
me like you know how parents just like you are me and like
Right.
what I do you do what I say go like you know that's the sort of thing that then it's like all right like you really shouldn't I feel like do that to your kid
Right. I think too on the parent side, it's like, you know, they're kids, like, and there's always this thing like, oh, they're kids, they're not going to understand, they're not going to get it, and da da da. And I think we make that mistake. I mean, I don't really ain't a parent, but I think that mistake is made too, where it's like, oh, assuming that a kid's not going to get it. It's like,
yeah and
they don't
do.
have any other choice but to get it. All
And
I'm here to do
right.
is receive. Like,
Right.
so I think I know certain concepts where it's like, you know, struggle first to get to the better side and all like things that we think are that we learn throughout life is like things that they can learn now because whether or not you realize it, they're already learning those things in their
They
head.
are,
Like there's
yeah.
so many mental processes that you don't even account that your kid is going through. Like you fall, you see them cry, you think, oh, they just fell and they cried and they hurt their head. And they had, they're like, oh, fuck, I got on this bike. My mom bought me this fucking bike. Dumbass bitch, she didn't put my helmet on.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, I should have had the knee pads like Victor got the cool knee pads. Like, so many things going on in their head.
And
that
if
you're not
you listen to them,
like,
but
what's
like
it called, you know?
when they be like they're little, they just be like they're little, like they're a little
Exactly.
kid, like they're just gonna say whatever. No, but like if you teach a kid how to communicate and how to communicate their thoughts and how to communicate like certain things or when you're having a conversation with them picking up on certain cues in a conversation just in the way that you talk to them like when they're a baby instead of being like oh you want
Right.
being like oh he wants like milk oh
Right.
she want, once they get used to you speaking regularly in a certain sort of way in a certain sort of sentence how you do your set up like the different words and all they catch on to that too
Right.
that's why when they're like 2 years old and you're like why is this nigga speaking so clear it's because their parents speak to them they're not like
Yeah. Yeah. Like my
like,
dad,
and the kid is
gave me
actually is actually like speaking yes it's so totally different when the baby is doing their God because you should be being like God because they're forming their language but
Right.
once they start to form their language you should be forming your language how you do too because then
Right.
they start to just do that
Yeah.
I think next is
Yeah.
mine. This was on page 12.
Next topic. I don't think it's the end.
Yeah,
Like
page-
next topic type shit. Oh.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Sure.
okay. So this kind of touches on like the whole fear thing that we've been discussing the whole time. And the fear of not getting the reward becomes the fear of rejection. The fear of not being good enough for someone else is what makes us try to change, what makes us create an image. Then we try to project this image according to what they want us to be, just to be accepted, just to have the reward. We learn to pretend to be what we're not, and we practice trying to be someone else, just to be good enough for mom, for dad, for a teacher, for a religion, or whatever. We practice and practice, and we master how to be what we're not.
And that's
Alright,
like
so-
what we were talking about.
Yeah.
So what I had said was that back to the fear thing. They say fear is what keeps people alive. It controls our actions and influences the decisions we make. At the same time, fear can also keep us from living how we want. Fear will limit the chances we take. So my question is a life of fear really worth a life of living?
Say that again, my brother.
Right, that was good. Yeah,
Oh, that just,
Yeah, I
really.
said, is
Like
a life
that
of
verse.
fear really a life worth living?
So they said fear is,
Fear is what keeps people alive.
it gives them the drive.
Yeah, but at the same time, fear is what stops
Stop.
people from really
So
living.
it's fear.
I think, yes, because to show fear, like you said, it kind of keeps you grounded in reality, quote unquote, because we do exist in a reality, whether we like it or not. It's been rehearsed and formatted for so long that it is a very definite thing. And yes, we are breaking through it. Yes, we're trying to change it, but it does exist. And so I think even naturally, like even if we didn't have these systems and things, we would still fear, or maybe not call it that, but we would be suspicious of things that we don't know. And we would be cautious of things that we don't know about. So when we're going on life and all this shit in life, of course we're going to be cautious about things we don't know because it's the unknown. And life is all about getting comfortable with the unknown. So it's worth living in a sense that if you have the will and determination to address your fears and get over your fears or move through your fears or use your fears to continue on your goal. But if you don't have a purpose, period, you're just wrapped up in your fears and just wandering aimlessly about. That's not living life, because your life should have a purpose. It doesn't have to be a purpose in the sense of a material thing or a material position or a material goal, but your goal and your purpose in life could be just to be happy. So if you get fears that are stopping you from being happy, I'm going to push past my fears. I'm going to use my fears to still go on to my goal of happiness. So my answer, I guess, would be yes, because your fear is going to make you stronger. It's going to hinder you. It's going to allow you to take precautions. It's going to allow you to be grounded. But no, if you don't have the equal balance of a purpose or something to gain, or because if you're just fearing fear or just fearing everything, then you will be stuck in that, and you don't have a light at the end of the tunnel, essentially, whatever that light may be. There's no right or wrong answer. There's no right purpose or wrong purpose, but strive to something, because fear is going to come naturally. Caution, or however you want to put it. So place that to someone. Okay, I'm gonna be fearful, I'm gonna be cautious, but I'm still going to this. I'm still getting this.
Right. I was to snowball off of that.
I'm gonna snowball.
Snowball off of that. I think it's like the way that you view fear also.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like some people, like when they know that like something's right or that they should be doing something, or when they're about to have their big break, they get like fear a little bit, but they know that they can overcome the fear after like seeing how they fear, I guess. Like, so I guess it's like how you fear. If you feel like you can, if that fear is like a positive like fear, like positive caution, like you said, because I don't really want to say even fear, like just not knowing or knowing, like sort of thing. If that thing is helping you grow, or if that thing is like every single time you feel that fear or that caution, then you start to like pull back or pull away from it. But then it's also about just knowing how you view fear in your life, or like how strong that fear is, because then I also do believe that if you are to dive down into that caution and what you do when you have that like caution sort of feeling, not knowing the unknown sort of thing, I feel like then you can like build yourself up to be able to get over that, because now you have placed that, however strong it influences your growth or your fall. Like,
Yeah. What you think, Jared?
I think it balances out. Like I think think like everything balances out. Like it's always a yin and a yang. When we were talking about hell, it's a heaven and hell.
Yeah, there's always
There's two sides to a person, your real self and then the mask you put on. So that's how I feel about fear. You know, like you actually need it, you know, like I said, to keep you alive and everything. And it also helps you grow.
Yeah.
Too, so.
Yeah.
So balance your fucking fears, dude.
Yeah, and put them in a place. Like figure out how much you get that caution feeling where it feels like, or if it even feels like suffocating where you can't go past it, sort of thing, and then build it up.
That shit's a bitch.
It is.
But figure out, like you said,
Figure it out. Put
where
it
it's
in a
coming
place.
from.
Yeah, put it in a place.
Work through it.
Yeah.
Slowly, like you got
Visualize
your whole
and
life
attack.
to. You got your whole life to address your fears. You don't have to. Oh, before I leave the house, I gotta be this powerful warrior. You're a warrior already. You're living boldly already. So it's like.
Well, they don't have an Aries moon.
Aries moon people suck. Balls. Okay.
Question.
No, fire moons is good. Fire moons is good.
Question for the
Sad
host.
game.
Going into
Wait.
no.
Yeah.
One more point to make. So my last point was at the bottom of page 12. The last two paragraphs is the first paragraph. When a man meets a woman, he makes an image of her from his point of view, and the woman makes an image of the man from her point of view. Then he tries to make her fit the image he makes for her, and she tries to make him fit the image she makes for him. Now there are 6 images between them. Of course they're lying to each other, even if they don't know that they are lying. Their relationship is based on fear, is based on lies. It is not based on truth because they cannot see through all of the fog. So what I got like a lot out of that.
Yeah.
I got like just how our society has built men to view women to view men, and not even like our society now, like how it has built up to the point that now how we view it and see it and sort of thing. And then I also was thinking about like when I'm just taking a personal example, like when you're a teenager girl and your mom's like teaching you and talking to you about guys and like how you're interested in them and what do you say, what do you do, sort of thing. And then they start to like teach you about like games to play, like not, I don't think like intentionally trying to be like tricky, but like to make a guy do this, like being this sort of way, or if you want a guy to view you in this sort of way, acting like this. And I remember at an age like being like so confused because it was like I was battling with self, like because that's not how I want to act around like guys. Like I just want to be myself. Like I want to be regular. I want to be able to be like at any sort of point. Like why do I have to calm that down? Because now you think he's gonna think that I'm crazy or like this sort of thing. Now that I'm thinking about all of this, you know what I mean? On top of like first feeling like that strong like actual feeling like to guys and stuff like that, or like getting involved in that, like so dating or whatever, or taking it past a certain level, sort of thing. And now I have all these other things to be thinking about to get that guy, or like, and it's like I don't initially want to do that. I feel like I should be like whoever I want to be, however I'm going to be, whoever Jasmine is, and then they will just agree with it or they won't agree with it, sort of thing. Like I don't feel like I have to, if I want a guy to like take care of me and stuff like that, now I have to like dress a certain way all the time and always be primed and you know like all the time and like sit up and like all that kind of stuff all the time, like just so that they can think or want more, or like not be around sometimes and then be around sometimes and then act like it's too much to think about, because like you're not being yourself. That's not even, like they said, you're living in a lie. That's not real. That's not my real emotions at that point in time. That's not really what I wanted to wear at that point in time. Like, so he can't even feel this sort of style that I have because I'm wearing something else that I didn't even want to wear, like, at this point in time. So, like, he's not even getting me, like, from the jump, from when he first sees me.
Right.
It's not me. Like, and I just didn't agree with that because, like, how do you live a sane, pure, like, without lies sort of life with another person, yet to get that person, you've been doing all of this other stuff that hasn't been all the way true to self.
Exactly.
It was just very, very confusing to me.
Right.
So that's why that like jumped out at me.
And yeah, too, I think it goes back to the whole mask and, like they said, the fog, because it's like, initially you're going to be attracted to this person because of the type of person they put out. Now, knowing yourself, you know that you're not always the person you put out anyway.
Right.
So why would you ever think that this person that you attracted yourself to or you're attracted to and
Is
you're
really
pursuing,
being-
that's that person all the time. So
Right.
you already fucked yourself up before you even get started, because it's like, oh, I see this bad girl, she's funny, she's this, she's that, she's that, and she's
not
gonna be like that
Right.
all the time. So like, you mess your own mind frame up and already put a limit on your relationship because you're thinking that this little piece of her or him or whatever is what he or she is going to be all the time. Like me, when I look for guys or when I attract to guys, like I definitely am attracted to what type of person they are and how they carry themselves in the crowd or whatever the case may be. But I know that when it's just me and him, he's not going to be flying around the room all, you know what I'm saying? Like how I would initially had drawn me in the first place. And that's okay because I'm not that way. So it's just like being aware of like, why would you put somebody in a box that you yourself is not even comfortable being in?
Right.
That's just
and
unfair.
It's again like a lie.
A lie.
If you are doing that to
Right.
each other, that's a lie.
I think it goes on a lot though.
Yeah.
Like every day. Like, I
Yeah.
think that's why
Oh, yeah.
a lot of relationships a lot of times don't work out because
You're not the same no more.
people
Right.
never really
It's
get
like
a chance
I
to
was
really
always
know
This
this
is always
way.
me.
the real person.
Or they weren't always that way.
Right,
Now that
yeah.
time has like given them that sort of freeness to like slip into like their actual ways.
Yeah.
Now it's like, wait, I never saw that ever
Right.
before. Like, what is that? What is that? Who is that? Like, sort of thing. When it really was who you were, it's just you weren't being all the way honest from the jump.
Long story short, what's they say? Long story to a
Long story
midget.
short. Oh, I don't know.
What's the midget?
I don't know.
Short story to a midget. Something like that. Be real, be yourself, be cute on the first date. After that,
Mhm.
after you get that first date, bump everything and let all of it out. Wear your rollers. Don't get your nails done. Don't shit. It's like, no, but like
Mhm.
real rap. Just like,
Be you.
Yeah.
Like, be you at all points in time. Like, even if it happens to switch up, like, then it happens to switch up. Like, then that wasn't the person that, you know, was supposed to keep your eye the whole time. Like, and be okay with that.
Exactly.
Be okay with being in the present. Be okay with that.
All
Don't be
that.
stuck in the future or the past.
Right.
You know? Keep it moving forward.
I think we had a
question?
Oh, now I can talk.
Wow.
So going into the book, did you guys have any expectations and continuing? What do you think the book
It's going to.
Yeah, well, what else would you think you're going to learn or discover in this book? The way it's going thus far, at least.
I kind of said it in the beginning, but I was speaking more on like how I thought the book was going to be. But I do think that now it's going to dive into after self. Like, I feel like it's still going to touch on self a little bit more in different angles of self-love or like in relationships or like, well, no, I just think it's going to dive a little bit more into self, but different angles into self a little bit. And then I feel like it's going to go from what extends from self, like other people and how those relationships may happen, or if you're all the way pure in it, sort of thing. Because in the beginning, even I felt like it was more like a teaching or telling you like how to get to this place. So I feel like all the other chapters are going to be that sort of thing. I feel like it's going to be a little bit more about self, and then it'll be like a kind of how-to with other people, but keeping that sort of positive, like, love thing throughout the whole book.
Right. I think it's going to be too like a liberating text. It's going to show me or everyone like kind of how much we are limited, because you know you probably have this idea like, you know, I'm so me and I'm this and I'm that all the time, like, and not saying to start to deny that about yourself, but it's just going to shed light on like some of the biases and hindrances that we probably may not have even been aware of. So it's definitely going to unfold. I know probably more about myself, and just like things that I probably didn't even think about, as far as like expressing. Because I think I express well, but then it's like, oh, I have all these biases and barriers that really are preventing me from expressing as well as I thought I am. So definitely.
I think it's gonna be like show like the stages and steps of how you can like sometimes lose yourself. Like in the first chapter, it was talking about how you lost the joy of being happy that we had when we were kids and everything. And I just seen that the second chapter is called like loss of innocence. So I think it's just showing how over time people do lose themselves or whatever, but it's just showing like how to get back to different sides of it.
And yeah, so that was chapter 1.
Yep.
From us guys and gals. Our next episode is going to be on chapter 2 and 3 in 2 weeks from now, same time, April 2nd. So again, ask us questions, comments, everything.
Do the do.
And be rock with us. You know what I'm saying? It's Worms.
Worms, where our readings make sense.